Hi, everyone. Welcome in. Thank you for joining me. My name is Marlene, and I am with A Room to Bloom. So earlier today, I did a message about um, trees, and it wasn't my intention, but as I was speaking about something and the qualities of trees, the characteristics, the essences of trees, etc., I remembered that I have a deck here. It's called the Tree Magic Oracle deck. Now, um, it's just really, they're really nice messages, and they have a variety of trees. That's really what the deck is. And so, kind of with that in mind, I'll just kind of very quickly touch on what that other message was about. But maybe you'll go back and listen to it. Maybe something you want to listen to. But what had happened is I looked out the window, I don't know, yesterday or the day before, and there was just this absolutely beautiful maple tree and a bunch of other ones, but none of the other ones were the color of this maple tree. The other ones, like, they had similar colors, but this one really stuck out. And that is oftentimes how we are spoken to through the divine or spirit, like in ways like that. Right now I'm getting goosebumps. Where something really sticks out and it almost feels as if it's in slow motion. Like, do you see this? What's coming to me now is, when you have a sunset that just practically stops you in your tracks, right? Or a sunrise, where you feel like it's just been a gift given to you, right? The rainbow, all of these beautiful wonders, but that is the moment when something just really has you take extra notice, right? And there's a message in that. And the message for me that I got out of that is the reminder it was a maple tree, and to stay sweet, right? Tapping, we know that the sweetness, the syrup, lives within the tree, right? And that it comes from the inside out, and it's like the encouragement to tap into that sweetness. Life has a way sometimes of piling things on us that can feel challenging or overwhelming or tiring or whatever that is, right? And can harden people. But what we are being called to do is to remember our sweetness, right? To step into forgiveness, to offer grace, to think about all the times that we have been given that ourselves, right? And to extend that on to others. And so that was the message about in a sea of, I use the example of acorn trees, although there are other kinds, right? Be a maple tree. Not that one is better than the other, and there's no judgment. They just have different qualities, if you will. But because it was sticking out, it was that message. There's something here, like the sweetness, the sweet spot, right? Okay. The other thing I do want to mention is something that came up in that. So I spoke for a while, and then I pulled a few cards, had a past life card, and the first thing that came up, the first card in that was a past love, right? A loving, I'm not exactly sure how it was titled, but I just shuffled this deck called Relationships Oracle Guidebook. And it's more than relationships, but it's kind of interesting because I just shuffled it to start this reading, and one card came up and it says romantic love. Okay. And what it says is the frequency, and by the way, again, these are sacred geometry of relationships oracle cards. So it says the frequency of romantic love supports our experience to know ourselves through the reflection of a conscious lover. So it's like this is coming up again. Okay. Um, but before we go any further with that, I'm going to kind of step into these cards here called again, the Tree Magic Oracle. They're really nice messages. Let's see what comes up here. Okay, one just jumped out of the deck. Okay, we have a visitor. Whoa, hold on. We're going to make sure. We don't want to go up there. Okay, hold on. It's okay. 1 second. Let's just stay here. Okay. So it was one card. I was curious if it was the maple tree that jumped out. And I don't even know that there's a maple tree card in here, but probably, right? So it says the sweet chestnut tree. Now, isn't that funny that we were talking about like the sweetness? I'm just going to read it for a minute. It says, with maternal nurturing, plans and wishes meet. With fruition that is as sweet as a nut. Oh my gosh, I have goosebumps again. Because the acorn tree, I was speaking about that, drops many nuts, right? So this combination of sweet with a fruitation that is as sweet as a nut. How interesting. And when you think about how tree roots, move underneath the ground and they interconnect, and that's really kind of cool. But what this is about, the sweet chestnut tree, speaks of growth, okay? Growth. Which is also interesting because I had done a video on Hurricane Melissa, and then there was another gal that just came up and she was talking about that from the context of well, I mean, I was talking about too, but just a little bit differently. But from the context of looking at why did that happen a little bit differently, right? And, the words that came to me again after I finished watching it is we grow through what we go through, right? So a lot of soul growth happening doesn't mean it's easy, doesn't always mean it's fun, but it does happen. We have soul growth through our challenges and tests. Now, generally, I like to shuffle in between, but I'm not going to because of my visitor here. So we have the mulberry tree, and it speaks about insight. Undermining influences destroy themselves by destroying their host. Good times and good fortune now return. It's so interesting because what she was speaking about, I have goosebumps again, is she had gotten a message regarding Haiti, and I didn't speak about Haiti at all. I didn't speak about Haiti. And like this vision or dream that she was given, and kind of stuff she was seeing about what might have been coming out of there. But again, undermining influences destroy themselves by destroying their host. Very challenging, right? But good times and good fortune now return. So staying positive. The mulberry tree is insight. Okay, come on. Come on, you can stay here. Okay. The next one we have is the poplar tree, and it speaks of duplicity. Duality and duplicity, suffering and bitterness, enlightenment and happiness are at play. Yeah, and that would be so many things in our life, right? When we have a situation, right, that we're contending with, if you might say, or that we are being challenged with. But through that experience, on the other side of that, we end up with some enlightenment and happiness are at play. The poplar tree. Okay. I don't know if you can hear him purring. Okay, the next one we have is the fig tree, and it speaks of enlightening love. Lower pleasures you attract are potentially overwhelming and dangerous. Peace arrives through higher gratification. So this, oh yeah, I have goosebumps. So this calls us to say, what has someone given way to? Um, you know, the words that are coming to me, you could say been lured in, and you know, in our experience, that's kind of part of the thing that we go through. We're tested. Will someone be lured into that which is uh, operating out of their lower chakra centers, right? um, they could potentially make you feel overwhelmed, and they could be dangerous. So peace arrives though through higher gratification, right? So uh, through shifting the energy, letting go of the lower pleasures that you know are temporary, and saying you know that there is more. This is interesting because it speaks of enlightening love. Okay, I'm going to take one more here. Here it is. Whoop! Here it is, the maple tree. Honeyed days that dreams are made of sweeten all that is to follow. The maple tree speaks of acclaim. So I was wondering if this would come up. Like I said, I didn't even know if it was in this deck or not. But I am glad that it did come up because of just kind of how this unfolded. It doesn't surprise me that it did. It's just like that added confirmation. So I'm going to go over to this other deck, pardon me, and I'm going to set this first card of growth under the chestnut tree, okay? So we're going to set this under the chestnut tree. Again, these cards are just sitting here, and just because of the situation, I'm going to just take one from the top. So it speaks of forgiveness, which is interesting because it says undermining influence destroy themselves by destroying their host. So here it speaks of forgiveness. The energy of forgiveness strengthens our capacity to let go of unwanted feelings and emotions, right? Staying sweet and stepping into forgiveness, because what happens, it can be heavy if we're not carrying it. So having the insight to understand this. Okay, the next card we have is intimacy. It says, and this falls under the poplar tree of duplicity, where it says suffering and bitterness, enlightenment and happiness are at play. It says the energy of intimacy supports us trusting that we are safe to allow closeness, right? We are safe to allow closeness. Under the fig tree, the enlightening love, we have the seventh chakra, which is the crown chakra, represented by a violet. And it's interesting because it says enlightening love. The energy of the crown chakra supports our feeling of being connected to a higher power and part of a larger whole, that we are not separate, that we are all connected. Okay, and the last one, under the maple tree, again, acclaim. It says transformation. The energy of transformation supports our ability to gracefully flow through times of transition, allowing the old to make way for the new. And in the video that I was speaking about with that Hurricane Melissa was exactly that, there are moments or times in our life where we have what are called tower moments, where foundations are shaken, sometimes totally coming down, right? So that new things can be built. And this doesn't mean everything in the physical, new ways of being, right? New ways of being, which could be stepping into more of that sweetness, right? Letting go of the lower pleasures. I don't know why I took one more, but we have integrity. The number is 25. It says the energy of integrity supports our choice to be consistently truthful and honest while being guided by high moral standards. Integrity. Okay, I'm going to look at the bottom of the deck. I just have to pick the whole thing up. So we have Divine Feminine. The frequency of the Divine Feminine supports our soft, receptive, and nurturing side, facilitating our intuition and intrinsic understanding of our connection to the cosmos. And it's interesting because the Queen of Cups came up in that other reading too, which would definitely be speaking kind of about this energy as well. I am going to see what wants to come up with this book from Unity Magazine. It's Unity Word Magazine. Let's just see what comes up. We have Epiphany. We also have Inner Peace. Epiphany is dated January 6th, so that date might mean something for you. I awaken to the light within that guides me to my highest good. Very much this idea of letting go of those lower pleasures, right? Having an epiphany, realizing. Epiphany is a celebration of the arrival of the Magi in Bethlehem to honor the birth of the baby Jesus. Guided by the light of the Christmas star, they carried precious gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. I have goosebumps. In the stillness of the moment, I honor the rebirth of my Christ light and trust its perfection and purity. I celebrate my epiphany as I awaken anew to the innocence, the joy, and the wonder that are mine to express. As I radiate the light of truth, I happily and gratefully share my divine gifts with the world. It's a new year, an invitation for me to create the life I choose. Which also I had drawn like an inspirational message, and it had something to do with this. So if you go back and watch it, you'll see what I mean. With understanding, faith, and harmonizing love, I move forward with confidence, realizing my dreams with ease and grace. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. That is Isaiah 61. The next one is Inner Peace, dated January 7th. The peace of strength of God fill me. This peace and strength of God fill me. There are many ways in which I can think of peace in my mind, in my relationships, and in my oneness with God. Every aspect of peace is important to me as I live, work, and function in the world. I am a child of God. I hold this truth in my mind and my heart throughout the day. The Spirit of God guides me in ways of peace and strength. Secure in this knowledge, I am content. No matter the difficulties that may befall me and temporarily disturb my peace, I am comforted knowing I am never alone. I have within me the comfort and loving guidance of God, which provide me with serenity. Oneness with God is a heartwarming experience, one for which I am so thankful. My heart is full, and I am at peace. It says, peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not let them be afraid. That's John 14:27. So lovely message for kind of that continuation of, I would say, the last two messages that one I've already released, one I will release, and then this will be out. But definitely an unfoldment, I would say, in the message. And then there was, let's see. There's one more thing that I wanted to do, and that is a message about positive thinking. And I had opened this up to gratitude, except for I didn't mark the page. So let's just see what else comes up here. Surround yourself with positive people. When someone cares, it is easier to speak, it is easier to listen, and it is easier to play. It is easier to work. When someone cares, it is easier to laugh. Remember that, and that's by Susan Polis Schultz. Remember that heart is like a garden that needs to be tended to and nourished with what only another heart can give: love and appreciation, devotion and honesty. That's by Tricia Goldmans. And the last one here is: guarantee your peace of mind, contentment, faith, and strength, as well as the constant ability to find joy in all things that sometimes go unnoticed. Find moments to connect with other individuals who are full of smiles and hugs to give away the stories and laughter to share. That's a message by Barbara Cage. So that is the message for today. I want to say thank you for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed the message. I hope you have a great day. Take care.